He just is a good man. I mean, it's about, developing a character, and hopefully if you develop, I don't think the part of him that is a good man is necessarily dependent upon his environment. He's a good man essentially in a vacuum. He's just a good person. He doesn't bleed on people. He has morals and values, and hopefully you could put him anywhere, whether it's in the 40s or modern era, or whether it's a period film or a grittier political thriller. Hopefully the qualities of who he is will still shine through. In terms of not making it corny, I think that's more of a director question.
Well, I would say, look, I think it's also, look, at not making him corny, yeah, you cast Chris Evans, right? So Chris has this great, he's able to balance the character in a way that's always, Joe and I have always been amazed by. It's really, he strikes the balance between sort of somebody who's like self-confident and focused, and he puts the emphasis on that, I think, rather than on righteousness, which is important. But for us, look, we always like the more complicated version of the character. The sort of simple version of the character was never that appealing to us. So, we tried to put him in a very complex situation and play to the complexities. He starts the movie off in a very vulnerable place. This is the first movie where we really catch up to him in modern day and see what it means to him on a character level to have missed 70 years and woken up and found that nobody from his old life is around anymore. It's a very isolated place, a very emotionally vulnerable place. So his relationships to the other characters in the movie are even more important because he has nobody. So I think that's basically how we kept him grounded, how we approach the character.
Well, you'll get more of Widow's backstory in Avengers 2 also.
Really?
Yeah, you would.
Scoop.
And I think her backstory is, she has a rich past, as you just, already described. She definitely comes from a really dark past. I think she's kind of had to be she's had to sort of desensitize or dehumanize in a way to be able to do and see some of the things that she's, seen and participated in willingly. And I think probably most people that have that kind of job description, a mercenary, they do. But I think she's just sort of now grappling with the fact that she may be experiencing some trauma from that, or at least that she has feelings about the things that maybe she doesn't sleep so well at night, and it's just sort of hitting her now that she's kind of been, acting as a sort of, gun for hire, and that in doing that she's never really made any active choices, and that kind of, it's sort of like the rug has been kind of pulled from under her feet. So I think more interestingly would probably be to discover her, to follow the progression of that story, and bring her back home, or see where that kind of leads to. But of course, that's all in my imaginary next installment. None of that's really been, we've thrown the ball around a little bit, but nothing is in the works right now for that.
Thank you.
I approach all of it, the same way. You show up, you look at the relationships, what's going on, take it all seriously, and still have as much fun as you can on the inside of it. I'm really glad that we saw more of Nick and what happens with him, and how he reacts to situations. But as usual, he's always trying to be 3 steps ahead, and all of a sudden when he finds out he's been used in another kind of way, it's incumbent upon him to find out why, and use all the tools that he has at his disposal to make that happen. And as usual, part of it has to do with subterfuge and diversion, even down to fooling and hurting his most trusted compatriot. And we actually shot a scene where that's explained, or we have that moment, but I've been told it slows the film down in a significant way, and they didn't want it slowed down. But when you get the DVD and you click on my face, there's a hidden feature that will allow you to access that scene, and you'll see more of what that means between he and Black Widow. But it was a real joy to be able to go into Nick's workplace and to find out who he is in depth in certain ways, and to expose some of the stuff through the conversations that Robert Redford and I had in the film.
I mean, there are always injuries, whether you end up in a cast or not. Doing stunt work, it's physical stuff, and even when you block a punch, that punch lands somewhere. So you're always going on with bumps and bruises, and we're all getting older, and so it has lasting effects. Anything in particular? Yeah, any fight with Frank Grillo.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to pull his punches. Mackie, you must know this.
No, we were hitting each other for real.
You hit for real. If you don't block Frank Grillo's punch, you're going to get knocked
Well, that's
out.
because he's an actual boxer.
He's a
so
boxer.
like,
He doesn't know anything but 100%.
No, that's because he's a mean person.
Yeah, I saw him do the same thing to Nick Cage the other night. Yeah.
Frank Grillo beat the shit out of me. I didn't, let me see, did I? I mean, I'm forever wounded from these movies. I have old injuries from Iron Man 2 days, and I just keep re-injuring them. That's part of the joy. That's not part of the joy. It's part of the process, I guess. I mean, like Chris said, it gets, as you sustain more injuries over time, and it hurts for longer and things like that. But I don't know. It's I guess I like to be able to do as much of the stunt work as possible, and I don't. I think you take a little bit of a risk with that. But I'd rather that than have to hand off my scenes to the stunt team, as capable and amazing as they are all the time. I'd rather do some of it, and have some battle wounds. That way I could compare bruises.
And Sam and Sebastian, any injuries?
I mean, I feel like I got pretty familiar with Chris's kneecap like once or twice. I don't know. We were doing everything so quickly, and we'd sort of prepare for months doing those fight sequences. So I honestly wouldn't feel anything until I was in the car on the way home, when I couldn't get out of the seat, like being dropped off at the hotel. But I'm sure we hurt each other.
You didn't hurt me.
I haven't even. This is the first time I'm seeing you.
I know, that's why I say you didn't hurt me. It's quite nice to work with you.
And
Thank you.
We didn't have any scenes together.
and Sam, you weren't on the end of a Frank Grillo punch at any point, but
Me?
yeah.
No.
But did you get any injuries on this one? No.
I use my stuntman extensively. I have no issues with him being hurt. That's what he's paid to do, and he loves it. He's from a stunt family. His father was a stuntman. He and all of his brothers are stuntmen. Before they could eat breakfast in the morning, their dad kicked them down the stairs in the morning and made them jump out a window to come downstairs to get their breakfast. So I use Keontae more than, my God, he works more than I do sometimes. All depends on the film.
Why didn't I learn that from you?
I
After
have-
so many movies,
I have
every
no
time I'll come
issue.
in limping and I'm like, oh, I hurt so bad. And Sam's like, why don't you let other people that are better at that do that?
I mean, it's way better to, see him, you stand there, they throw a punch, you duck out of the way, they fight, and you get up and go, and run off and do the next guy. That's it. Believe
that
me,
simple.
It's
Amazing.
good for you.
It is, and it is a giant mosaic, and it's a very ambitious undertaking. It's probably as ambitious as movies have ever gotten, just in terms of the scale and the amount of films that they're making that are interconnected. But the real secret sauce to that is Kevin Feige at Marvel, who is this auteur producer, and he's quite brilliant at what he does in terms of, keeping that interconnectedness, but also focusing on the movie at hand. He's very good about not putting any constraints on the film that he's working on, because, you know, he has the belief that, you know, if you're thinking about the future, then you're not going to make the best movie that you can right now. So he really tries to make the best film that he can and then figure out what the next movie is going to be beyond that. So a very organic process. Celebrity boxing match. That's what, yeah, we're working on right now. No, I don't know. I think, who said this best? That, you know, when two cars are speeding at each other, one of them has got to veer out of the way at some point, so.
Hell yeah. Put it out there, Joe. Put it out there, baby. Go ahead. Tell them, man. Tell them.
This is a good old game of chicken.
Listen, I think, you know, Marvel, I think, announced that date originally. It was if you go back historically and look at it, Marvel and I think Sony have been trading off on that May date for a long time, and I think when Warner Brothers decided to move that film, they moved it to the May date. So, you know, I can see where Kevin said, well, I'm not moving off that date.
Boom.
So,
Yup,
right.
deal with that.
so I don't think there'll be anything to up the ante other than that, you know, hopefully we make a great movie and everybody's very excited to see it on, was it May 5th or May 6th? And
I mean, that's the truth, is
2016.
anybody up here is just, all we can do is make focus on making the best movie we can make, and when and how it gets released is, you know, there's other forces involved in that.
In other words, punks step up to get beat down. Know about that.
And Marvel, where you have heroes, and
Yeah.
there's DC, where you have interesting bad guys.
Yeah. We got Chris Evans, baby. Deal with that. Yeah.
It's all kicking off.
I'll say I mean, it's so generic, but I'll say my parents. I mean, they're your first, they're the ones who shape you and make you and teach you how to love and how to feel pain and happiness and cope, and it's everything from from birth until you're, in your teen years. That's where you're really forming who you are, and I really got to tip my hat to my parents. They're my heroes. Good luck, everyone else. Follow me.
Everybody has to get the same answer. Thanks.
Got parents? Jesus. Oh, nice.
David Bowie. That's my hero, for obvious reasons.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Myself.
Thank you, Sam.
Now look at the young people that, put their lives on the line for us so that we do have, the freedom to make movies like this and tell stories like this, because, we do have a volunteer army now. It's not like people have to do it. And those young men and women that go out there and put their lives on the line and go to different countries and just, they're there, to make sure that we can do what we do. I admire them greatly.
Absolutely. And, yeah, indeed. And Sebastian?
Well, my mom, definitely, and I guess probably Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was obsessed with Jim Carrey growing up, so it led me to acting, I guess.
And Anthony?
My two brothers.
Don't say Mr. Marcus.
No, man. My two brothers. I spent the first 12 years of my life with them beating me up, and the past 22 years of my life with them applauding me and building me up. So, my two brothers.
Fantastic. And Joe, you haven't mentioned a hero yet?
I can't decide if it's Superman or Batman, but maybe if somebody made a film where they put them both in that movie together, I don't know.
Maybe in for a really good weekend.
And on that bombshell, that's all the time we have. Thank you guys so much for coming. The movie's out March 26th in the UK. Thank you so much, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Untitled Chapter, Scarlett Johansson, Chris Evans, Joe Russo, and Anthony Russo.